Hello again, everybody. This is Mr. Everything. I'm coming at you with another market garden project update. Okay, so if you're not familiar with my project updates, every few days I'll let you know what the progress is of my current project. And this one right now is the market garden project. I'm collecting models and terrain for a market garden campaign that will be hosting here on the channel. Normally we play war games on Thursday nights, so that's going to be coming up in the future, maybe in September when actual market garden was launched. But right now we've got this Thursday, in a couple of days there is it's going to be the 6th, actually tomorrow is the 6th of June, which is D-Day, and we're going to have some D-Day battles right here on this table, and we'll televise that as well. So go ahead and stay tuned to the channel tomorrow for those times. I anticipate around 5 to start off, and we might even be able to get 2 games in. I'm going to try to keep them small and simple because we have new players, and we should have a good old time. Okay, so now we're talking about a market garden campaign in the game of Bolt Action. We have the 2nd edition Bolt Action, as you know. There is a Bolt Action boot camp out there if you want to watch. I've realized I need to videotape a new boot camp, and I'm going to call it something even more basic. I'm going to call it Basic Training, and it's going to be just, this is how you play, not all the rules. The boot camps, what I do is I go page by page in the rules explaining what they are to the audience, and that usually, and I try to keep those under 30 minutes. And so what winds up happening is those wind up being like 10 videos. So, but the boot camp, the basic training, what I want to do is a 30-minute video that incorporates all the rules. So basically like a speed run of the basics, like this is how you shoot, this is how you move, this is how you do a morale check, this is what a pin means, blah blah blah, right? Look for that. That's going to be coming up real soon. Okay, this is the Market Garden campaign book that we're using. There's a lot of new unit types in here, but what I'm finding is there are new unit types in here, but your basic unit types still need to be used, you know, like just a standard unit, or especially the Germans. The Germans don't have any standard units in here. They're all weird. So you got to go to other books, mainly the main rule book or the Armies of Germany book. All right. Okay, let's talk a little bit about the past. I've got a bunch of paratroopers and grenadiers that I did a while back for the games that we were playing when we were doing the Battle of the Bulge, and I'm planning on using them for Market Garden as well. And they're off camera right over there, and we'll give you a little close-up of my current setup, and then as I build, then I'll be able to show you the new models, because I don't think I've given you this is our starting point yet and where we're going from there. Now, a few of those models over there in that collection were painted this week, but that is the current layout as of we sit right now. All right, what else? I've got a Panther tank that I originally sprayed it wheat color, and the wheat was just too light. It was too it wouldn't have been okay if I darkened it down a little bit, which I was trying to do with washes, but it didn't darken it down enough. So I actually went to Testers. Testers has a paint. I think I put it away. I don't know. Oh, I left it over there. Testers has a paint. I don't know. Can you see that paint? You might be able to see it. It's that paint bottle right on this shelf all the way on the end. If you can see that. That is the mustard color that you're looking at right here. That's the color I wanted. I knew I wanted mustard. I just was looking through the various colors from Krylon, Rust-Oleum, and I just couldn't. I thought this was going to be the right color, but it's actually just when it comes out, it's just too bright. So I didn't go with that. I went with Africa Mustard, which works, which is perfect for my Panther tank. Okay, so this is primed, ready to be painted. Haven't really painted it yet, obviously. Okay, now I just assembled an armored car for the U.S. Okay, so the armored car, this is one of those free models I got for being a club member. It went together really easily. It wasn't too hard to figure out. Plus the instructions are on their website. So, and then I just primed it OD. And so I just got to paint some wheels and some details. And then this one will also be finished as well. But here's the kicker on this model. And I'll show it a little bit close up when we go to do the close-ups on the models. You can build it as either an M8 armored car or an M20 armored car. The M20 is the 50 cal version, way open topped, and then the M8 has like a 37 millimeter anti-tank gun in a very open top turret. You can put either one of these on the model, and that will make it that version of the armored car. So what I did was I left the turret off, and I left the I don't know what you would call that. There's a box turret off as well, and this turret goes on the little swivel, which I have upside down. Okay. And this turret's like super tight on the swivel, so I'm just going to line it up. And then this box for the swivel just fits right there, and now you've got an M8. But if you want to spend the points for an M20, you just pull that off. There we go. And you put that on, and now you got an M20. So there's an M20 armored car, and I didn't glue these down. You're supposed to glue them down, right, to make it an actual turreted vehicle or an actual box mount vehicle. Well, I said, screw that. I want to be able to have options, so I didn't glue these down. Okay, so that's that. I also picked up some new tester's brushes. I didn't need this one, even though it is a lot bigger than the one I'm currently using. I said, okay, maybe if I do some terrain or something, I could use this brush. But the main reason why is I wanted this brush, and there was a third brush, and that was only $1.99 for 3 brushes. And this brush here is for applying the glue onto bases when I'm doing flocking. And I went with a thinner brush than this, you know, because sometimes it's hard to get down in between the feet and the legs and stuff like that. And this brush, I was struggling to get it in there into those corners. So I got a smaller brush that'll reach down into there. But they're still nylon. This is still a, it's like a plastic. And it doesn't even, you know, and you just wash it with water and stuff, it's fine. Okay, moving on. Because I'm not using the plastic 1-inch bases for the figures, I'm using 1-inch fender washers. I decided I'm going to use some of these bases as templates, maybe as splash markers or smoke markers or little craters, impact markers. I'm going to go through and use some of these, and I could probably even paint them and use them as pin markers if I wanted, but I'm not going to use them as pin markers. If I need a 1-inch template for whatever reason, or if the smoke or whatever else is a 1-inch area, like an incoming artillery plumes or something like that from a mortar, I'm going to start using, if it's a 1-inch, like probably from a 60 millimeter mortar, I bet you it's a 1-inch, I'm going to start using these. Just because I've got a ton of them. Okay, so if I need to figure out like the blast radius, the 1-inch. Okay, I've got other fender washers that are 2 inches that I'm going to use for my 2-inch templates. It's also the ones that I'm using for the bases of my trees. But this is a blast template. And then I have a 3-inch Litgo a circular base that I use for various commanders and things like that. But I still have a selection of these. I'm going to turn these into a 3-inch template. So I've got the 1, 2, and 3-inch. So if I need to figure out like, okay, all these guys are hit by that blast or whatever, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to make some of these into templates. Now I think that there are some smokes and some that are on the 2-inch and maybe even the 3-inch. I'm going to have to make some of those. I did a video on how to make smoke a while back. Check that out. Okay, so I don't have a 4-inch circle. I have a 5-inch circle, but I don't have a 4-inch circle. So I'm going to have to make it. I could probably just go to Litgo and order one. I probably should order a 1, a 2, and a 3, and a 4-inch circle in the thick MDF that they have, because these are kind of flimsy, actually, to be honest, except for this guy. Okay, but I don't know if I'm gonna do that, since I mean this will work temporarily until I go ahead and order those. Can't be too much. Okay, working around. I've got these Grenadiers. I think they're actually SS. They're Grenadiers, and they're specialty teams. Like I have a sniper team, a flamethrower team, a Panzerschreck team, right? And so those are the 3 teams there. But they've been sitting on my desk for a week because I've been painting those other ones. I haven't had any real inkling to paint those. I might do that tonight. I might not do that. Probably not. I've got so many other projects that I want to have done by our D-Day game tomorrow that they're probably not going to be done. And I don't think they're going to be in the games anyway, so we're just going to leave that out. These guys aren't going to be in the game either. I just have been building those, and I'm keeping you up to date. Okay, a couple more things. Moving around. Before we get into any of this, there's a couple of paints right here I want to highly recommend to any... if you're a paratrooper, if you're making late war paratroopers, either Market Garden or Bastogne, are the Ardennes or Battle Bulge, was what I meant. Anything later war, I recommend getting the Krylon Color Max Paint and Primer Satin Italian Olive. You spray your model with that, and you've already painted his jump uniform. His jump uniform is this color, Italian Olive. Satin Italian Olive. It comes out exactly the, what is it, the M42? No, it's not the M42. It must be the M43 uniform color. If you're a German player and you are looking to paint your models a gray color, like field gray, I recommend getting the Rust-Oleum Primer Self-Etching Primer, because this is, it's gray, but it's the gray that the pants are. It's a little light for the jacket, but I would recommend just painting over this with a field gray. But this is super close to field gray. You could paint your German army this color, and it would be appropriate. It would be very good. Now, if you're painting smocks on your Grenadiers, I recommend the Deep Forest Green, but the camouflage version, because there is a Deep Forest Green, which I think I have in here. Yeah, there's another Deep Forest Green that I think it was still, maybe Krylon has it. It's not the right color, but get the camouflage, Rust-Oleum Camouflage Deep Forest Green if you're doing like Grenadiers or SS smocks. Okay, and then because I'm finding out that by priming the prime and paint your model, the majority of the uniform is going to be that color. So prime with that color, then just go back in and hit up all the details, and it makes it so much easier. I've been painting these models in one night. You can paint a squad in one night if you prime the right color. My eyes have been opened. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about this model. Okay, my friend Mike has a 3D printer. He printed this town square fountain. I've had it for a while now. What I need to do is paint it up and maybe use it in a bolt action game. Because that's really, it's kind of a fantasy thing, but it's also kind of just a cool town fountain, maybe in the middle of France or Germany. You know, so I'm going to do that. Okay, moving over. This video is kind of stretching out, but I wanted to make sure I hit everything. Do you see a difference in these two trees? Okay, the armatures are exactly the same, but the way I assembled them, when I was putting the trees together, I was experimenting with different methods to make trees, and I've been using these trees for at least 6 months now. And this tree used to be very lush and green, and it used to have all kinds of foliage all on it, but over time the foliage has just broken off and fallen off, and it's dangling here. It looks like it's getting ready to come off. There, a piece just came off. So as I've been using it, and I think a little piece came off right there. So pieces of it's been what's the word I'm looking for? Wilting, not wilting or molting, but basically just the glue's just not holding the this clump foliage on there very well. But on the other hand, when I used lichen, I used a lichen on this tree, and it's held together for 6 months with no problems at all. So what I'm going to do is bring the armatures down, which I've got about half a dozen armatures like this that need to be redone like that. And I think I'm going to do that this evening. I might even record it just so you guys can see what that's all about. But I am going to lay some lichen on these armatures because they need to be brought back to life, basically. I think I got about half a dozen of them. Okay, let's do this. I made some range rulers for our Arnhem, no, our, what do you call it? D-Day game. D-Day? Man, I'm all over the place. I made some range rulers for our bolt action game, but we were playing the Battle of the Bulge, right? And these range rulers were 36, well, a couple of them, these two, I think were 36 inches long. And the reason why is for machine guns, right? And they're broken down in every 6 inches. There is a little paper tag, but later I just went ahead and primed alternating colors so that you could get a 6-inch ruler. You could have a start and a finish, and you could measure to see if your guys are in range super easy without having to get a tape measure out or a ruler, because you can move 6 inches or you can move 12 inches, you know. Now vehicles were a little bit different. They had a 9-inch, and so I had to go back in and touch up the 9 inches for some of the armored vehicles and stuff. And then we went to NashCon last year, and when we went to NashCon, we were going to be playing some black powder, and I didn't want to carry 3-foot range rulers with me because it didn't work well with on the table at a convention to have a ton of these range rulers. I personally think a 12-inch range ruler would be just fine, because that's your 6-inch move and your 12-inch move, and most weapons have a short range of 12 inches, and then you could just put two together, or you could do something to figure out a 12-inch range. Maybe use a tape measure or a longer ruler, or just have a couple of these floating around. So okay, I don't know if you can tell, but these two dowels are like super thick, right? So and they were the 36-inch ones, and I cut them down, and now I'm getting kind of disappointed at these two because they're just too big. I can still use these in black powder or what have you, and that would be fine. I'm going to set them off to the side. This one I cut down to 18 inches. That's going to be fine for the moving and anything that can shoot a short distance. But these guys here, and you notice how they're a lot thinner. These are going to work a lot better for anything in our games, maybe at Market Garden, because there's not a whole lot of armor at Market Garden. I mean, there's some German stuff, and there is a 30 core, so maybe I got to rethink that. But we're going to use range rulers and not basically they're measuring sticks. It makes everything a lot faster. You don't have to look down at your tape measure and pull it out and find it. Okay. Finally, today, well, it's not finally, because I'm going to do a close-up of these figures so you can see where my starting point is. But I've been using, for bolt action and black powder, I've been using these little red markers for hits, and Hail Caesar actually. Been using these red markers as hits to show that, you know, you got your pin markers or your stamina hits or whatever, and they look really good on the table. I mean, it's hard, they're not hard to see, but I felt like they were distracting, or they took away from the feel of the game. They're easy to identify, and you can see how many you have at a glance, and you can just pop them out. So I'm torn. We're going to experiment. It's an experiment. I got some of these wooden blocks, and I painted it a green color, like a moss green, so that it's a bright green. It contrasts with the whatever you put it next to. It's still not, they're pretty easy to see, but they are green. And so what that means is they're going to blend in a little bit, maybe not 100%, but because you don't want 100%, you want to be able to see them, but you don't want them to be so distracting. And that's why I went with this bright green. It's kind of a dark green, but it's bright. I don't know how to explain it, but it's moss green. And I'm going to use these for pin markers instead of these red tokens. We'll see what it feels like. It's really about the feel, right? It's how it takes out the immersion, or does it not. And I like the fact that it's a smaller footprint, because this green block is smaller than this token, and it's easier to pick up. I've noticed I have to struggle a little bit to pick these glass beads up. They're slippery and they move around. I mean, I can pick them up, obviously, but it's just these guys. Done, picked up. I know it's something very subtle. It's kind of anal in a way, but I feel that it would, if it speeds the game up by 1 minute, it was worth it to me, you know. And if it makes me feel like there's not all these red tokens on the table, because as soon as I see dice, rulers, tokens, templates all laying on the table, I start to say, why don't I just play a board game? You know? And so I want to take all of that junk off the table, and I want it to be a diorama appearance. I want it to look good. That's why you play miniature games, is because you want it to look good. Don't play with the plastic models. Don't play unpainted plastic models. Don't play with unpainted pewter. Don't just prime them black and put them on the table. Put a little effort into it. That's what I'm saying. Just put a little effort into it. I've even considered, and this is me going one step further, I've considered taking my Ardennes paratroopers and rebasing them with grass. I'm not going to do it. I might throw some grass on the bases, or maybe some tufts on the bases, but I'm not going to rebase them. I've decided I'm not going to. All right, and before we actually get zooming in over there, I do have a couple of things I wanted to mention. Sarissa Precision Limited, right? The Sarissa, the ones that make a lot of these Sarissa buildings, they have what's called a tile system. I looked at it. It's nothing special about this tile system. What it is they have these 8-inch squares, and then they have these 4x8s, and then they got these 4x4s. Okay. They're not straight edged, right? They are jagged edged so that you can set them side by side and they won't shift around on you. I think they still will shift around on you, and so I'm going to put like a mat underneath that it can grip to. Maybe I'll put some kind of sand or something on the bottom of it to make it more like a very rough surface, so that when I put it on something like this, it won't want to move around. So I am going to get a couple of these sets. I found that the 3x3 set will do, I've kind of did a little bit of the math about where roads and rivers and stuff like that can be placed, will do about a 2x4 table. It says 3x3, but it's really not, it's metric. So, but it'll do a 2x4 table, and that's great for like your 600 point games. If you get a second one, you could do a second 2x4, making it a 4x4 table. That's pretty good for a 1,000 point game. And then if you wanted to get a third box, which I am, which you could put at the end, and it'll be a 2x4 at the end, making your total table of 4x6, right? And that's where I'm going to stop. 4x6 is like a 1,500 point game, and I'm going to do a lot of 4x6 games during the Market Garden campaign with 1,000 points up to 1,500 points. Probably sticking around 1,000 point games. These tiles, they're not textured or anything. They're 3mm MDF, and it's basically just a whole bunch of these, just tiles, but they're this big, There you go. Maybe this will. They're like this big, right? And you can make these fields. You can put a field, and what I plan to do is texture them and flock them and put terrain features directly on them, like hedges or roads or ponds or a plowed field or a wheat field and stuff like that. I plan to make a bunch of these tiles, and these tiles are good enough where I could just throw them out and lay them on the table individually, or if I interlock them all, then it will make a big battle scene. With the 4-inch wide pieces, you can make those roads. Those are perfect for roads. That's a perfect road size. I've already made a bunch of roads. They were about 4 inches wide by 12 inches. But I can get these interlocking tiles, and there will be a lot of them, and I can just crank out a bunch of, and they're pre-cut. I don't have to cut them. That's the big thing. But I can make a bunch of roads. I can also make rivers, streams. I can put putty on top of the tile to make hills, or I can make craters, and I can do all that directly on the tile so that I can just place the tiles out wherever I want. I think this, and if I wanted to build them up, like maybe make a hill or something like that, I could do that. I could put some corkboard on top of it and plaster it or something and make like a hill, or whatever. I could, if I really wanted to, I could take two of them and maybe glue them together and make one large hill. That's another thing. I could put gun emplacements down. I probably won't do that. Maybe I will. I don't know. Water features. Some of the things that they show are like beaches, where you got one of these tiles is like the inland. Then you have another tile, same size, that's kind of a transition from the sand into the water, and then another tile with just water. And so you could have like, a coastline, like for D-Day or something like that. Now the 4-inch squares, I thought about this. Those would be great for intersections. I thought about that because you could have a road coming up this way hit that, and then a road going off this way, and maybe a road continuing on this way or something. I'll have to figure it out. And they don't always have to butt up directly against each other. They can be offset. And because of that, I could make all kinds of different things with it. So I'm planning on getting 3 of these sets in to cover a 4x6 area. And the issue that I'm having with that right now is that I ordered a bunch of models. I have way too many models coming in. It's going to take me months to paint these guys. I ordered the Fallschirmjäger starter army. That's 1,500 points of just Fallschirmjägers. It comes with a Hanomag, a Panther, anti-tank gun, a bunch of Fallschirmjägers, all the different support elements. Then I ordered, during the sprue sale, I ordered a box, or basically 30 British, and then I also ordered some support elements, like 4 boxes, like the leadership, the anti-tank gun, maybe a machine gun, and a mortar or something like that for the British paratroopers. And then I ordered some Commonwealth figures, which are basically going to be used for 30 Corps. And then I ordered a Cromwell. I think I ordered a Cromwell, another Hanomag, a Stug, and then I have some SS models coming in, like 30 of those. I have some regular US troops coming in, like 30 of those. I'm planning on using those as glider troops. I was thinking that the glider troops, something was telling me the glider troops look just like regular infantry. They don't have the parachute jumpsuit on. I have to do a little bit more research on that, but that's something in my mind is telling me that. But when you see my paratroopers, you'll know that I probably need to order some more paratroopers. Okay, so if I have all of this, when am I going to have time to work on the tiles? You know, I could do a few tiles every day. There's going to be like something in the neighborhood of how many tiles? Somewhere in the neighborhood of like 60 to 70 tiles that I'm going to have to do. I'm gonna do it, but that's my dilemma. I got a lot of work to do coming up, which is fun because I'm gonna videotape it. I'm gonna let you guys see it all. I'm gonna try to have it all done by September. You know me, I can have it done. I have gotten the days off for NashCon. That's another thing. I am gonna be at NashCon. We are gonna be running something. Now we're just trying to decide what we're gonna run. We're going to be there Saturday. We're going to show up Saturday morning, and we're going to leave Saturday night. I only live an hour away from NashCon. So if you guys are at NashCon, come over and play our game, or say hi to us. Say you saw us on YouTube. Give us a shout out, man. Say hi. Okay, let me show you the fix. All right, this is where we stand, and I'm going to use a Ranger Alert to point. This is where we stand right now. This right here are my German forces. And this is my American forces. As you can see, they have the snow on them to make them ready for the Battle of the Bulge. But I feel like this was a mistake doing it this way, because now they're pretty much locked into only snow. So I think I might, instead of rebasing them, I might cover the snow. I might paint the snow and then cover it with grass. I think that's what I'm going to do. I tried on the machine guns adding some tufts. You can see the winter tufts. I put them on the snow. I'll probably leave them just because I've already done that. But like this spotter for the sniper, they're contrasting. It doesn't look good, in my opinion. This guy's kind of he's an FO, but he's not in Market Garden. He is only in the Ardennes and D-Day and stuff like that. So like I can't use these guys for D-Day. But then again, the uniform colors were different during D-Day, so these are only late war, but that's okay. Okay, so let's look here at the Germans. I've got 3 10-man German squads, right, with a half squad. So I've got 3.5 squads. These guys have machine guns, they have Panzerschrecks, they have the NCO with submachine guns, and a lot of these have assault rifles because it's late war grenadiers, either Panzer Grenadiers or SS Grenadiers. A lot of them are camouflaged. These guys are good to go. This guy and these guys all came out of the Blitzkrieg box, or the Blitzkrieg sprue, and I was able to make a 5-man machine gun NCO rifleman squad, and then fire team, if you want to call it that, and then I made a captain with his cap on. But see, before that, I didn't have any leadership. All I had was the 30 dudes. Okay, so we did that. And that was one of the reasons why I got this pack, was so that one of these guys could be the officer, and then I could throw a few extra guys on there. But with that Blitzkrieg pack, and plus I got another 30 Blitzkrieg guys coming in, that's going to be great. Okay, I've got my Tiger and my Panther, and that's it for the Germans. And right now, that's more points than what you see over here on the paratrooper side. Let's take a look. I just finished the 57mm airborne anti-tank gun, and the crew are all separate pieces, so they all come off of the bases. I did an airborne Jeep, which is great because that can be the tow vehicle for this. I bought that at NashCon last year, and I just finished painting it. I just told you about this guy. And then these were from a paratrooper sprue that I did a conversion on. I made one with a bazooka, one with holding the bazooka round. I made a sniper, and then I made 3 Pathfinders over here. One of these models, that one right there, that's Lieutenant Spears, from the Band of Brothers. He's from the 506th. But I already have a lieutenant and a captain up here, so I'm going to kind of just basically make him another Pathfinder with them. To make that a Pathfinder squad, I just need to add 2 more models. So I could just pull 2 guys off of here or something like that. Actually, there needs to be 2 machine guns and 4 riflemen. So with the extra riflemen that I have here, I can make these into 3 Pathfinder squads. And that was the idea. Because there's a few scenarios in Market Garden that it's only Pathfinders. But I'm going to be getting some more paratroopers, so I'll have to flesh a lot of these units out. The Americans are not fleshed out properly. I've got 3 6-man squads where, or a squad and a half, because 12 figures would make up a full squad, and I've only got 18 models there. So there's only 3 half squads or 1.5 squads, and that's pathetic when I'm comparing it to my Germans. I have 2 medium machine guns. Early war, D-Day, the machine guns would be in the squads. They would be considered light machine guns with just the 2 models. But when you go to Market Garden or late war, you're looking at a 3-man team as a medium machine gun, and it's detached from the squads, because in the squads they would have BARs, and these guys all have BARs. Yeah, and that's it. That's where I'm sitting right now. And let me give you some close-ups so you can kind of take a look at them, and then I'll see you next time.